Hello, welcome to Angular After Dark and GitHub After Dark. I will jump straight into it today. I'm working on this library called Lumberjack, and I'm working on NX, distributed task execution. There was a 0.9 release recently, and that allows us to speed up some things in our CI workflow. So I've done some changes. Let's see what's the issue right now. Trying to build a GitHub Action using NX in a Node.js project and use that action locally in my own workflow, but I probably messed up something here with the Linux command. No such file directory. Oh, Okay, let's see. Let's bring up the editor. So I have uploaded these folders, so the test coverage reports, the what's this one, lint reports, and then my actions. See, I have now an actions grouping folder with this one local action. So it's a node project using NX. And so in the dist folder, there's packages and then actions. So I want to bring in everything here and unpack it inside the GitHub runner into GitHub /actions. But yeah, it's probably the terminal command here, because this is being uploaded by the NX coordinator, the NX Cloud main workflow, reusable workflow. So all these folders are zipped, uploaded to GitHub, then I'm downloading it down here, unpacking it into dist, which actually doesn't make sense. I should unpack it to the current folder. And then the question is, what is the folder with the action going to be called? So maybe let's go back and see. We should see a build artifact somewhere here. There it is. So I'm downloading that, opening it up, and you might not be able to make this out. I don't know how to zoom this window file explorer, but there's a dist. Okay, so I got the entire dist folder, packages, actions. Okay, that's actually what I wanted, but I didn't expect that structure. So dist actions. Okay, so maybe this is right. So I will amend this commit and I will push it to the server, wait for a few minutes for new check with GitHub Actions. So giving it a few minutes. So I see one joined. How are you doing? Feel free to introduce yourself. Unless you're on Twitter, then you can't. But then you can join YouTube or Twitch and should be able to send a comment in the chat. So let's go back here and see. By the way, if I mess something up with the layout, please let me know. I'm really bad at streaming. So another thing is, got a new computer and it's not working very well with the dock, even though they're both Lenovo. Apparently there's some graphic drivers with the built-in NVIDIA GPU. So it thinks the docking station is a third external monitor. So something breaks and all of a sudden all the screens are disconnected. So if I'm looking weird or something's looking weird on the screen, that's why. So sorry beforehand. But let's see how far we go. Okay, so what we have here, if you haven't seen this before, this is the distributed task execution workflow by NX. So there's one coordinator that is running all the commands, and there are 4 agents. I have configured 4. These are all GitHub runners, but they will receive NX tasks, for example, build, lint, unit testing, end-to-end testing. They will get distributed these tasks from the coordinator through the NX cloud and down to the DT agents, which are GitHub runners. So most of the time right now is probably spent setting up, the installing node and dependencies. So it's already done. So I guess we can see one of them here, which task were assigned. So that is here it is. Yeah, start NX agent. So it was assigned to build the ng worker Lumberjack project for production, and it got that from the NX Cloud cache. And now, after all the DC workflow finishes, then I have a SonarCloud job, and that's what I'm working on. So unpacking the build artifacts went wrong again, so there's no dist actions. Okay, I messed up again because it's dist / packages / actions. Okay. And this is the joy of doing DevOps engineering, that you push something, you wait a few minutes, and hopefully, well, eventually it will build or fail. So let's wait another few minutes for this to run again. We can go inside the run job and look at whatever, or you can send me your questions about Angular, GitHub, open source development, whatever you want to ask a question about. So right now it's downloading from the GitHub cache, all the yarn cache folders and artifacts. Most of the time is spent setting up yarn npm dependencies. So that's not very exciting to look at. Actually, it kind of, crashes my browser. Sorry. So I'll try to close that, maybe speed up the CPU to prevent disaster on stream. Okay. Here we go. So let's just wait here on the overview. And we can see our 4 agents. These are GitHub runners that start up, install the dependencies, and then run an NX command, an NX Cloud command to wait for tasks to be assigned. And that's the DT coordinator has the commands. Let's see what that looks like. Looks like this. So we want to run NX affected on all the lint targets and test. That's unit test. And we want lint reports, and we want coverage reports. And I want to build this action project. And then I want to run NX affected on all build targets except for this actions job. I want that to build every time so that I get the cached output or the rebuild output, and I can use that in the SonarCloud job. And finally, end-to-end tasks, end-to-end test targets. Tasks are being made for them using the affected command. And down here we see the agents job. So there's not really any code here, just the number of agents and the relevant permissions and my NX Cloud read-only access key, because this is a reusable workflow. So all the jobs and steps, or the steps, are defined in this YAML file by Nawal in their CI repo. Okay, let's see how far it is now. Okay, so it filled the SonarCloud again. Unpacking succeeded. Nice. So it moved all the actions projects. There's only one, but moved it to lumberjack.github/actions. And then I'm trying to run this, and it says can't find the action YAML. Okay, so I renamed this project a few minutes ago. So this is the actual path once it's unpacked. So that's probably why. So we're getting closer now to seeing this run. That'll be exciting. It's the first time I've done it this way, because the thing here with GitHub Actions is you need to have the action available and all its dependencies. So ideally you will bundle it, but it needs to reference a GitHub repo. So then you need to bundle everything up and then commit the build project into your GitHub repo, and that's not really how we usually do things. So now I want to have the source code committed to the repo and then build it using NX and the NX Cloud cache, so that usually I can get it in a few milliseconds from the NX Cloud cache, and then it'll be available for my SonarCloud job. So I think this is interesting because I don't have to mess with committing the bundled action, and NX with all of its tooling can help me with having the proper like linting rules and TypeScript working and bundling. I think it might be using Webpack. Whatever a single file is produced, it looks like. Let's see if I can find it here. Yeah, so just one main JS file and a source map. I don't think GitHub is using that, so I could just delete that. Whatever. And the final file is this action YAML. So it has one input property right now, and this is the configuration for the action. It's using the Node 16 runtime on GitHub Actions, and the main file is called main.js. So that's this one, which is a Webpack bundle, 155 lines of code, and this action is configuring SonarCloud, publishing my test coverage or reports. I'm publishing my lint reports to SonarCloud, but I have this configuration file here, and the SonarCloud GitHub Action can understand this configuration file, but here for the this is the test coverage report. So it needs a comma-separated list of all the test report file names, and I don't want to maintain that because it'll change as we add projects and depending on the NX affected command. And same thing here for the ESLint reports, right? So I just added this placeholder thing, and that's what the GitHub action is, calculating the names of all these generated reports. So what do they look like? I can like run, whatever. There's a coverage folder with some files. There's a what was the other one called? Reports folder with some files. So it'll calculate the names of these, and the project looks like this. It's just 3 files, and then the main one calling them. So one is here. So it lists all the names of all the files in subfolders of the coverage folder, all the files called lcov.info. So it generates a comma-separated list of these files and replaces this placeholder inside of my SonarCloud configuration file. And the same thing for linting, except it's in the reports folder looking for report.json files under lint subfolders. And the key here in the Sonar Cloud configuration is called something else. So a few simple scripts to generate this using a library called replace in file and the glob library npm package as well. and I wrapped it in a promise. So yeah, so really nice. Now I can have the source code and all my proper tooling inside an NX project, and then I can use it down here without having to do yarn install, because that takes several minutes, while downloading an artifact takes a few seconds. So this is much nicer. The SonarCloud action itself takes a lot of time because it's going through all these different languages that it supports, even though I'm only interested in things like TypeScript and JavaScript. But whatever, I've done it as fast as I can now. And hello DanDP. How does SonarCloud output or UI look like? Okay, well, let's see if we get this working. Then I can show you. We're using SonarCloud in the Lumberjack project, because is this the new run? Let's see. There's an open source license, so we get it for free from Sonar source. Okay, what happened here? Cannot find the module actions core. Well, that should be bundled. So what happened there? Man. Okay, well, SonarCloud, you say. So, okay, I think we have a link, or rather it should be in the pull request. There's a comment from the SonarCloud GitHub app. Well, not in this one because it isn't working. Okay, let's find another PR by Nacho. There should be a SonarCloud comment somewhere. Here it is. Okay, so yeah, it does all our checks. We accept 0 what they call bug detections and vulnerabilities, security hotspots, code smells, and it says there's 100% test coverage on new code and 0% duplication. Okay, so let's click one of these links, and this is the summary. I'll zoom in. Sorry, this is the summary of his branch or his pull request here. So there's 669 new lines of code with 0% duplications, and there's 40 new lines of code that needs test coverage, and they have 100%. Let's verify that. See what's the new lines of code. Okay. Okay, so he didn't add new files, but he changed new files in this one. Let's go look at one of them. It's a boring one. Well, they all are. This is about dependency injection in Angular, so tests are pretty uninteresting. What did he change here? Not sure it shows here what he changed. Oh, here it is. No, the green here is lines of code covered by tests. So everything is actually covered by tests here. So it would be red if a line was missing. And then I could see here in the UI, yeah, which lines of code we need to cover with our unit test. And what else? Well, it's not interesting when there's nothing detected, really. But yeah, this is what it looks like. We can go to the main branch and see that. Was this something? Don't know why it says failing. Yeah, I don't really understand that, actually. Don't know if this is because the last PR was just some GitHub YAML configuration. Because we have code coverage. Okay. Okay. So there's some code here that we didn't add unit tests because this is a demo application and it has end-to-end tests. So yeah, I guess we should actually exclude this from unit test coverage since this is an end-to-end testing application. It's not part of the library. And the end-to-end testing project shouldn't need unit tests. So we should exclude that as well, which I thought we had done already. So maybe there's some configuration issues here we should look into. Anyways, I'm getting sidetracked, but yeah, then this is that's what SonarCloud.com looks like. You can get the same kind of UI for Sonar Source, which is the on-premise version, but SonarCloud is the managed version where it keeps it updated automatically. You don't have to host anything. And they have an open source license, so it's free for public repos on GitHub. But the thing is, we need these reports and we need to submit them to SonarCloud. So they have a GitHub Action for that, but we need to have this configuration and let it know where all the reports are. So that's what I'm working on improving now. Okay, so this is interesting. Let's look what the build output looks like for this action. Dist actions main, and it was talking about, what was it? Actions core. Let's see here. Yeah, I have the actions core package. I have the glob and replace in file package. Interesting. Why are they not being installed here, though? That's interesting. So I set this up in a Yarn workspace. So that the dependencies that are only relevant to this action are managed in its own package JSON file. I should still be able to run yarn install from the root directory and everything. It should install everything. So what if I delete this folder, this nested node modules? The yarn command should still be able to install that. And it did, but why? Oh, it's still doing something. But why isn't it installing the actions core, the GitHub Actions core package? So maybe it was part of the main. Yeah. Okay. So it's detected here in the log file. So maybe because at some point I probably installed it here in the main workspace, the root workspace. So maybe I just need to delete my yarn log file. Maybe let's delete all the node modules as well. And the nested node modules, this is common troubleshooting for these kind of special issues. And it probably won't delete that node folder, the node modules folder, because NX is running a file for the NX daemon. So, oh, it did? Oh, great. Nice. Okay. Hello, Nacho, my teammate on open source. I'm working on Lumberjack and GitHub Actions. And I'm live now. Yeah, sure. And apparently you're the only one watching now. There was another person before. Okay, let's try installing Yarn again. Or the dependencies using Yarn. And see what happens here. So Nacho, I created an GitHub Action in an NX project. Then I'm using NX to build it and cache it, and then it's supposed to unpack it to up here in the but only in the GitHub workflow, because it's a JavaScript or TypeScript actually GitHub Action. So I have all the nice things with jest and ESLint and things, and using TypeScript, and NX will package it with Webpack and whatnot, and it'll end up being just one file and the Actions YAML file, right? So then I can use that in my SonarCloud job. Oh, you're still here, Dan. Okay, great. NX is better with Yarn workspaces, so why did you choose it? And just a second, Nacho, you were working on Lumberjack 2, migrating to latest NX to get Angular 15. Oh, you want us to do Angular 15 already? Sure, why not? But we're also working on, I mean, I'll review your refactoring pull request at some point, but I've been thinking about this issue. And NX had an update to their DT workflow recently. So now that the main NX DT workflow can upload artifacts using GitHub artifacts, so that we can download it down here in our SonarCloud job, and it doesn't have to do Yarn install, so that'll save us a few minutes down here. It can download the artifacts, and then I'll unpack the build action, that's the plan, right? Into the .github folder, the actions folder, and then I can refer it here in the next step. And that'll set up the report paths, and you're asking, can we publish it to the marketplace? No, it's a local action, and it's not fully configurable. It has some hard-coded things right now, but I just wanted to get it working. But yeah, maybe it could be one or two actions that's on the marketplace at some point. Right now, I just want to use it locally. Okay, then you're asking, is NX better with Yarn workspaces, or why did you choose it? Well, NX can now be used both with so NX can be used both as a monorepo tool. So it has two kind of workspace layouts, the integration, what do they call it? Integrated workspace, where you have just one package JSON and one node modules, and all the packages and apps share the same version. But we can also have package-based monorepo, where if you're doing open source packages, each package can have its own package JSON and have its own dependencies and manage them and have multiple versions in the monorepo. Or you can have a mixture. And that's what I'm doing here. I have most of the things in an integrated workspace or monorepo, so that they can share the same versions of this common dependencies. But if we look at this one actions project, I created a package-based configuration here where it has its own package JSON. And the reason for that is these dependencies are Node.js dependencies. So they're not really relevant to any other project in this workspace, because the other projects here are about Angular and web packages and the toolings for that. So it's just to keep things separated and to keep track of which dependencies are used. If I had these in the root dependencies, it could be harder to keep track of when am I actually using these dependencies, or when did I stop using it so I can delete them again. So that's why I'm trying to do it this way. I mean, if it doesn't really work out, then I can move it out to the root dependencies in the root package.json instead. Because right now I'm seeing here that the actions core package isn't downloaded to the node modules here. That's kind of disappointing. So what if we check the root node modules? Does it have the actions core? It does. So I wonder why it's moved up here instead of inside my Yarn workspace. That I don't understand. Especially since the other dependencies are in here, the glob. Well, actually, replace in file is not in here. Its binary is. That's kind of interesting. But that is referring to the global node modules. Okay. So maybe I messed up the Yarn dependencies or Yarn workspaces. Okay. What if we do it more like actions? Is that better? I'll delete the Yarn log file. And I'll do nx reset to stop the nx daemon. Then I'll delete the node modules folder in the root node modules. And I will delete the nested node modules folder. This is my common debugging steps, troubleshooting for weird dependency issues. So let's do yarn install again. See what will happen now. Interesting stuff. Okay, I'll just leave the room for a minute, get something to drink. I'll be back soon. Oh, still waiting for dependencies. This is Yarn Classic. The computer, the laptop is working on all 8 cores. Yarn install is a nightmare on Windows. And I could probably run out of memory. Okay, let's see how it laid out the dependencies now, especially this nested one. Wow, still no replace in file or actions core. Interesting. So it is here in the root node modules. And the replacing file is probably here as well. There it is. Yarn list actions core. Okay, let me try that. Oh, interesting. Okay, so there's some other packages here that also, like the NX package uses glob. Read package JSON uses glob. Don't know, that's not my dependency. But the glob used by the action so that's probably why it's here, the glob, because it's a different version. And this one is 803, so that's different from the others. No, it's here. Okay. Read package JSON. Okay, let's see what the read package JSON, which version it is requesting of glob. .801 or minor or patch version bigger than that. Okay, so it's compatible root level node modules. Glob. Seven, 2, 3. Okay, I don't understand anything. Okay, so I mean, I can try not having any workspace and moving the dependencies inside of this package JSON. Yeah, why not? Let's try that. Then I will delete package JSON here. I will delete the nested node modules folder. And rerun, delete the yarn log file, and rerun yarn. But keep the global node modules folder. Hopefully that'll help with the speed. Come on, yarn. Get those packages installed, please. There we go. So let's do yarn nx build and Yeah, that's the name. No, it was renamed. This is the name. But let's do skip nx. No, because that's not what the GitHub Action. They will use the cache. So let's see if we get the cached output. Yeah, we do. So I wonder if we need to bust the cache in the GitHub Actions workflow. Oh, it wasn't cached before. It was just fast because it's a small project. Okay, let's look at the output. So it definitely has some actions core, but shouldn't that be listed as kind of a Webpack thingy? core.get input and core.set fail. Those are the functions I'm using. Okay, what does glob look like? Because it's not complaining about glob. Where is glob defined? So something is strange about this Webpack build. It's as if the dependencies are not really bundled. Yeah. Yeah, here they are. So it has kind of see their glob is like an empty module. Replacement file is empty. There's no implementation here, is there? Nope. This is all my own code. Maybe except for these lines, but there's nothing here either. Okay. Okay, let me look. I'm not really used to. Okay, what are you saying? Looks like they are marked as externals. Yeah, okay, thank you. I'm not really used to doing node projects with NX. So, but it's using the novel node Webpack executor. So it has main tsconfig assets, optimizations. Okay, let's look at the options. Okay, so I'm definitely going to undo these changes because I still want to use the Yarn workspaces if I can. But I'm going to go look up the NX documentation for this, what was it called? Node Webpack executor. Let's look at the options. Additional entry point. Build libs from source. Read buildable libraries from source instead of building them separately. Delete output path. External dependencies. Default all. Okay. Okay, interesting. None. External dependencies, none. Probably the option I need here. So let's rebuild it. Look at the output. Okay, there's definitely more lines of code now. 12,000. Holy shit. Wow. So I guess that's all of these 3 packages I'm using and maybe some of their dependencies. Wow. Okay, let's find the actions core. Yeah, okay, that's probably also a big package. Actions core, yeah, has a lot of sub and like, oh, a lot of files here. Okay. Okay, well, maybe this will work. What was the other options, by the way? An array of module names. Produce source maps. I'm not sure GitHub Actions can take advantage of source maps, but whatever. Let them be. Okay. Okay. Good stuff. Thank you, DanDP. So, bundle dependencies with GitHub Action. Great. So, a few minutes of waiting time. The joy of DevOps engineering. So, any questions, just hit me. Well, what else is new? Well, I'm on Mastodon now. I can write my name if you want to follow me. My handle is, let me see, Lacey at mastodon.new. So if you're on Mastodon or any other part of the Fediverse, you can follow me there. Very minimally on Twitter now, except for this live stream, which is also on Twitter. I don't know, maybe they'll do Mastodon live streams at some point, and I'll add that to the broadcast list instead. And what else is new? Well, oh, how is live on this platform? Well, Mastodon, yes. So it's like when you first see it, the web app, it looks like an old version of Facebook, so it doesn't look very inviting. and then you join, and the first thing you have to decide is which server do I want to join. And then you have to figure out, how do I see toots from other servers? So it's kind of weird, and not just up and running and figuring out how it works immediately. But yeah, I really don't care much for Elon Musk's dictatorship of Twitter. So, and his total disregard of data privacy and human rights, and just making it a good place. So yeah, I'm on Mastodon now instead. I found this mastodon.new, and I joined that server because it has a lot of rules about what you can and cannot share or tweet or speak about, in terms of like just harassing behavior, and extreme behavior, things like that. So yeah, I like that, and it's run by a private person, so it's not some company who wants to steal all my data. And with Mastodon, you can move servers, so you take your data, bring it to another place. Well, actually, you leave behind your toots, so you would have to delete them afterwards if you want to, and you can't really bring them. So that's kind of, yeah, it's a little weird, but basically you're in control of your own data. You can take your stuff and move to a different server and delete your stuff on the old server. And the way you so one thing is, you will have trouble just finding things. There's not just one big feed with all the tools in the world. There's a feed for your server, like the people on your server. There's a feed for things that people are boosting, which is like retweeting, but on Mastodon. So there's things for what people are boosting on your server. And then you can also like have a feed for a tag. So it's more important to tag your tweets than on Twitter, because that'll make people able to find you. And of course, the people you are following, you'll also get their tweets, but you have to find them first. So, so it's a different experience. And as you're asking here, each server has its own rules. Yes. So for example, let's go find the one I'm on, but maybe not a good example, because it'll say so in Swedish. I should open an incognito instead. I think the rules are in Swedish. I'm from Denmark. Oh, they're actually in English. So you can read the rules for my server here, mastodon.new/about. So like, no excessive advertising, no uncurated news bots, no nudity untagged, no gore, no racism, sexism, casteism, discrimination against gender and sexual minorities, no xenophobic or violent nationalism, no spreading of disinformation or conspiracy theories that undermine public health, and lots of rules here. And I agree with all these rules. And so you can pay for staying on the server to help support the cost. And there's other examples here, right? Like there's the official ones by the Mastodon company in Germany. So that's mastodon.social/about. But then you're at the will of the company. And they're also sponsored. I was just about to say then, but at least you know that it'll be up and running, because it's the main company running the server. But they're also asking for support through Patreon. But yeah, I guess this is the Eugene Rocco is German, and he's the one who created Mastodon. back in 2016. So I guess he'll do he's busy keeping this server running because there's a lot of people joining right now. So mastodon.social and mastodon.online is also another server by him. So if you don't know which servers to join, you could join these, but there's not a lot of rules here. So maybe that's easier to think about. And as you see here, there's also like filters against different other servers. So you cannot view toots from these servers if you're on this server. So there's lots of spam and bots and inappropriate content filtered from so everything from these servers. Yeah. So that's also a risk. If you join a server and someone is spamming or doing inappropriate things, then you might end up being filtered out from other servers, right? So you have to pick your server carefully, but not too carefully because you can move to a different server, right? So it's not a point of no return. Okay, so things actually seem to work here. Nice. Let's review. So this is the action now running. So it doesn't really, I have an input for the SonarCloud file, and it just says everything is complete, no output. So that's good. And then it ran SonarCloud scan. So let's see if it detected any reports. Wow, so many lines of logs. Okay. There's definitely something here. Okay, let's go out to the pull request and see if there's now a comment from the SonarCloud GitHub application, the bot from SonarCloud. There it is. Nice. So it failed because there's zero coverage, and that's probably the GitHub action itself probably has no coverage, right? So yeah, so I should add unit test. And now I can. I'll have to refactor the code because it's only designed to run. It was a script previously that we have brought over from Lumberjack 2, so have been improving it a bit. So now I'll have to rewrite it or refactor. Well, not refactor. Well, in terms of right now, it just works. But to make it testable, I'll have to rework it a bit. But I should cover it with tests, right? Otherwise, our test report might be broken because of my stupid node script. So yeah, this is a good opportunity to actually add tests to this project. Nice. And then DP, you're asking, your feed can contain posts from multiple servers. Yes. The people you follow, you will get their toots posts. Toots is what posts are called on Mastodon. And there's also there are two server feeds as well. One for just everything being tooted by people on this server, and another one is what's popular with people on this server. So what people are boosting and favoriting, so that's liking and retweeting, but for Mastodon. So what people are boosting and favoriting on this server might pop up in that, I don't remember what it's called, but like server feed for popular content on this server. And then you have your own home feed where you get everything from all the people you are following. But also, yeah, it's like a mixture of people you're following and people on your own server, their toots, and maybe some of the popular ones on your server as well. Or maybe some of the popular ones from people you're following, like what they're boosting. Yeah, so it's a kind of a mix of them on the home feed. So it's interesting, and I just don't really want to return to Twitter because of Elon Musk being stupid. So yeah, I'm on Mastodon. It's pretty quiet, but getting better. It's like starting over, right? You have to find people again, and people have to find you. But it'll be worth it, in my opinion. So yeah, and it's nice to have some pause from too much social media. I think we can all use a break from that now and then. And then I'll do stuff like this again instead, like live streaming, because I'm not busy reading or tweeting. Yeah, so yeah, it's a little late now. It's 10:30 on a Friday. It's been a long and interesting week. So yeah, I think I'm going to stop now and relax before going to bed. But this is getting there now. Like the CI workflow is now complete. And let's look at the the pull request here. So I upgraded to the NXDT workflow version 0.9. That was the reason for this pull request, because then we get these artifacts, build artifacts on GitHub Actions support now. Because before we had to do like set up node and yarn install and then run the NX commands again and wait for them to return from the NX cloud. And now instead we can download the artifacts from the, like this SonarCloud job is this is the SonarCloud job. It waits for the DT coordinator, the main DT job to finish, because once it's finished, it will have uploaded these build artifacts to GitHub, meaning we can download them from here. Yeah, I'm just looking now at these permissions. They're probably, this one is probably because of SonarCloud scan. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, yes. So now it'll be faster. Let's check that, right? But this is downloading an artifact that shouldn't take long, and then unpacking it, and then moving it into the actions folder. And now I can refer to this GitHub action. Before it was just a yarn script, so there was just a Node.js file. Now I've created a Node.js project using NX, so now I can do linting, and now I have to do unit tests. But then I can build it using NX, and I can use it here inside of my job as an action, a JavaScript GitHub action. So I like this better. I've been thinking about how to do that for a while, and now I have the opportunity to do so. So let's compare the speed. Going into actions, and let's look at the successful one we just did. So SonarCloud. So it took 1 minute and 40 seconds, but 1 minute and 11 seconds was SonarCloud scan. So it's 29 seconds doing all the setup here. You see the action itself took less than a second. Just no thing to run. So Node.js GitHub Actions. So yeah, actually building the SonarCloud GitHub action took the longest time because it's probably a Docker-based GitHub action. Yeah. So okay, so I'll leave that out as well. So it was 29 seconds minus 22. So it's 7 seconds of setup. So compare that to the last one on the main. that was run. So that was 3 minutes and 28 seconds. So certainly a lot more, and not the least because of us having to do 1 minute and 37 seconds of yarn install and things like that. And then we ran the NX command to get them from the NX Cloud cache. So it took less than a second. And then we got the lint reports and the test coverage reports. And then we run our Node.js script. So yeah, I don't know, like more than 2 minutes of time saved. So you can see the full job took 5 minutes 42 on the main branch here. And our workflow that we just ran took 3 minutes 59 seconds. So a minute 40 seconds saved, but some things are varying because of the SonarCloud scanning thing, right? But yeah, minute 40 seconds, 2 minutes maybe, something like that saved on each run. That's important. So now we're under 5 minutes again, which is the sweet spot where we want to be for our CI/CD workflow. Okay, so that's great. So now, as we can see here on SonarCloud, let's have this. If I can, probably have to zoom out a bit. Summary for this pull request. 0 things detected, but missing test coverage on 18 lines of code. So I need to add test coverage for these lines of code. So this is again what the SonarCloud looks like. So these are red. If you're colorblind, you might not be able to see, but these lines here are red. And it also says so when I'm hovering. Nice. So basically everything inside of this, yeah, there's no coverage on this GitHub Action at all. Nothing. And yeah. So I have to, yeah, that's the next project. But I think that'll be it for today. I'm going to relax a bit and then go to bed. So next part of this pull request is adding test coverage. This is a script we've been using for a while, but we never had tests on it. But now I'm turning it into a semi-professional GitHub Action, and it's an NX project now. So we need test coverage. That's what our quality gate on SonarCloud says that we have to do. So of course, we need to add test coverage. But that'll be another day. Thank you for joining today, and have a great weekend. See you some other time.